Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Before I give my presentation, I'd like to pay my homage and take the blessings of Medicine Buddha and my root guru, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So first of all, I would like to thank Seva International for inviting me, and it's a great honor for me to be present here with all of experts and delegates to speak on Sovarikpa in the Himalayan context. Although I may be the wrong person at the right place, but still to present Sovarikpa in a very short period is a very difficult task for me because perhaps it's all new to you all over here. But still, choosing Sovarikpa in a Himalayan context is the right time and the right topic. Because when you speak of Sovarikpa, you have to trace back to the history of this Sovarikpa to more than 1,000 years or 2,000 years, mostly at the roof of the world, that is Tibet. Sovarikpa literally means a science of healing. So that means it actually covers all forms of traditional medicine that has the 4 different kinds of branches. That knows about the health and the healing, the body and the disease, and the various kinds of remedies available to combat those disease and as well as to prevent the disease. Moreover, it also teaches the methods, and it has a knowledge about methods to apply various forms of treatment, whether in the form of diet and lifestyle modification, whether in the form of yoga practices and meditation practices, or whether in the form of counseling, various kinds of psychological procedures, approaches to tackle the problems. And on top of that, Sovarikpa means that deals with the qualities of the physician. It speaks about the ethical and the moral issues related with the physicians. So therefore, Sovarikpa naturally covers all forms of traditional medicine that has the knowledge and the wisdom and the sutras or the texts, whatever, that contains all these forms of knowledge and discipline. Now, as far as yoga is concerned, in our Tibetan language, yoga means nel jor. Nelwa means to bring into harmony in its natural state, and jorwa means to keep to union that. That is to find the self, to find the Buddha nature, to find your inner self. So yoga in our Tibetan, or so to say, Buddhist form of yoga is more related to find in the meditative processes rather than more a physical form of yoga. Although physical form of yoga in Tibetan Buddhist yoga is called tulkor. Tulkor is those yogic practices. And often in our Tibetan yogic practices, they perform those yoga in a very secret manner in a tantric practices through guru, student, disciple kind of a lineage. And therefore, yoga in Tibet is basically nothing but to bring the harmony of the body and the mind. As you know, the paradigm of Tibetan medicine or Sovarikpa has not been changed since its beginning. Because the paradigm of our Sovarikpa is to bring the harmony of our body and the mind together. And how we can bring that harmony of body and mind is by balancing our energy, the nadis, the pranas. All our pranas we must perform to control throughout our lifespan, whereas in the past our yogis could really control those pranas to prolong their lifespan. Now, the purpose of life is for what? Is it because we want to be successful? Not at all. To become successful is a modern concept. To be happy, to be satisfied with the life is our ancient concept. So therefore, Sowa Rigpa teaches us how to live happy life, how to live a long life in a very happy manner. So therefore, it always teaches us how to bring the harmony of the body and the mind. Because to keep that body and mind in harmony, we have to control and we have to bring ourselves as positive as possible our emotional management. If I give an example, often these days in the Himalayan state, all over Indian people who suffers from cancer tries to come to Dharamsala to seek a treatment, alternative treatment or whatever. But often in my practice, I give more counseling, help them support emotionally to manage the emotion in a very positive way. And I found out often that people who have better positive management of the emotion really survives longer than those who are very vulnerable. Those who are positive really survives more than what the prognosis were given by the hospitals. If I give an example of a patient who lives in Jalandhar, she was diagnosed with a 4-stage cancer and was given only 2 months of survival time. But she survived 7 years, and in the end, after 7 years, she passed away because of heart attack, not because of cancer. So therefore, we as yoga practitioners or Sowa Rigpa practitioners or traditional medicine practitioners must believe in one's own medical paradigm. If you forget about our own medical paradigm, the strong connection between our body and the mind and the emotion as well as the spiritual development, then we are not practicing our Sowa Rigpa or traditional medicine. We are just trying to be par and to show ourselves like a modern doctors or the practitioners. So therefore, it's really very important to work together and to integrate with whatever is possible. For example, in our practice, we often tell patients that it is really important to take all the options, what is available, not just Tibetan medicine or Sowa Rigpa or Ayurveda, but it's also important to integrate modern system of medicine whenever it has a strength, because each and every system of medicine has its own strength and weaknesses. So Sowa Rigpa has its strength definitely, but it's not everything. It has a lot of weaknesses. So therefore, it is really very important to know more about Sowa Rigpa, because Sowa Rigpa is not for healing other people, healing the people who are suffering from all forms of disease, but Sowa Rigpa is for own spiritual development. Spiritual development for yogic practices. Because of yogic practices, you develop your spiritual nature to understand your Buddha nature through meditative power. As you know that these days mindfulness is one of the trend all over the world. And it has been said in our Chatutantra in Sowa Rigpa that doctor must always practice with mindfulness. If we are mindful about our practice in a very ethical and moral way, we'll be able to serve the humanity in such a way that it can have a magical healing power. Moreover, with a mindful set of thinking, we'll be able to develop ourselves and try to understand the various pranas in the very gross forms as well as the subtle form of pranas, not just in this life, but because in our Tibetan Sowa Rigpa, we believe in the next lives as well. So therefore, as you know, Tibetan yogis or Tibetan gurus, even after their death, they are still in the meditative postures. So you can find number of such examples in the internet where Tibetan masters live like a living body, even in their medically death form. So such kind of a control of our prana in a most subtle form is because of their yogic practices. And they practice this in a very sacred manner, whereas once they practice those yogic practices for their lifelong practices, they achieve a form of enlightenment, and therefore it's really good for whole sentient being, and they really pray and dedicate their life for this sake of all sentient beings. That is because they generate love and compassion. You know, to practice Sawarika or yoga practice, we have to have a genuine love and compassion. And that too for everyone. There should be no desperation. It should be equanimity. There should be equanimity, love and compassion, and we must always feel a lot of joy if we are able to heal or help someone else. Not because that when we are able to heal someone, we are successful and we earn a lot of kind of remuneration because of that. No, we must feel happy for doing these things. So therefore, Sawarikpa is a system of medicine that has all the potential. And in the Himalayan belt, you can see that as you go in the higher altitude, you will find Himalayan people who practices Sawarikpa, not just few years back, but for many, many years. So I would like to conclude my presentation and would like to discuss more in the next times. So I would like to thank you everyone for lending me your ears. Thank you so much.